okay, so how do you become the person who can be this authentic in like what you're delivering? And before I didn't really understand that you were a coach and like really what you were doing. I just thought you were someone out there being really funny. So when those two pieces tied together for me, I was like, this man is deep. I want to get to know a little bit more about like how he got to be. So what was your path to becoming this man to where you live so authentically or you do it with a lot of humor?
Yeah, well, thank you for seeing that and seeing some of my authenticity. And also, to be real, I'd say there's plenty of times where I'm still not authentic. It's still tons of room for me to grow into myself. So I don't want to build any false impressions. But I think a dimension of how I've been able to achieve what level of authenticity I have, there's maybe a few ingredients. One is sort of like what we actually opened up talking about, experience enough of the pain of betraying who I am has been, motivating to get me to be more true to myself. Like after a while, it is just so painful. By the pain for me registers as like emptiness, hollowness, numbness. It's so painful to betray myself, like hide the humorous parts of me, hide the parts of me maybe with just radical points of view or normal points of view, doesn't matter. And then it's like, okay, that's painful enough that now like the risk of being myself that once upon a time seemed like just too terrifying to do, now that risk seems worth it because it kind of sucks. Avoiding myself my whole life. Like, I think the purpose of my life is not to avoid myself. I think it's actually to be myself. And then I think another ingredient is I do my best to be playful with what's important to me, rather than just take it seriously. I think the Buddha originally or allegedly taught non-attachment. And I don't think Buddha's message of non-attachment was be non-attached to crap that doesn't matter. I think his message was be non-attached to everything. Easier said than done, but everything, and even the things that are most important to us. So when I look at the things that are most important to me in my spiritual life, my healing life, my health life, my relationship life, when I can go from a controlling psychological posture of seriousness with those things to playfulness with those things, I think it adds a lot of levity. I think it helps me process a lot, and I think it helps me be less attached to even the things that are most important to me and most helpful to me. And then the last ingredient is, I forgot the question at this point because I'm so self-absorbed.
That's okay. It's okay. Was there a question? No.
No. It's
No.
like I didn't even know anybody else was on the line, Rhonda. I'm just trying to notice myself. But I think the other thing that's helped me be authentic is calling myself out on my own crap. Like I realize I'm preaching to the choir on this. I think we all have a shadow, period. And I think a shadow is, for me, I define it as like the things we don't know about ourselves. It's not necessarily bad stuff. It's just like the things we don't know about ourselves. So like I would look at, I started using my comedy videos as a way to shine the light on the shadow of my dysfunction. Those, the misdirected judgments, self-righteousness, condescending attitudes, controlling behaviors, all that misdirected stuff that I was channeling through a noble facade. Like, no, I'm not being spiritual or I'm not being condescending or controlling. I'm being spiritual right now. Or I'm not being controlling. I'm being gluten-free right now. So being able to separate my practices from my human shadow behaviors has been very therapeutic for me. And in the name of authenticity, I think when we can purposefully shine the light on our shadow, then we no longer have to avoid our shadow. And our shadow, it's parts of us. So hiding that is incredibly inauthentic. But I think transparency breeds authenticity. So when we can look at the things that reactively we want to hide from ourselves and other people, but instead of reactively hiding it, deliberately shine the light on it, I think it just becomes like an extreme sport of authenticity. So that's some of my experience, and I'm curious